I had some squatters a while back, a few years back. My neighbor called me.
Before we get started, just a reminder to please turn off or silence your cell phones. We are going on the record. State of Ohio versus Erica Stefanko, case number CR 2012-07-1887-B. Today's date is Thursday, February 1st. It is 1:32 p.m. And who do we have present for the state?
Brian will present that state judge.
Okay, and for the defense?
Jeff Laybourne, Angie Killey, Mike Kranek on behalf of Mr. Stefanko.
Okay, we are here today. Go ahead, counsel. Did you have something to
I was
say?
just going to say that Detective Michael Hitchens is present as the representative of the state today.
Thank you very much. We are here for the sentencing of the defendant, Erica Stefanko, who was found guilty of count 1, aggravated murder, and count 2, murder. I believe the parties are in agreement that the counts will merge for the purpose of sentencing.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is correct, Judge. We would agree, and we would elect to have the defendant sentenced on originally count 15, now count 1 of the indictment, which is the aggravated murder.
Got it. Okay, Attorney LaPrenzi, do you have individuals on behalf of the state?
Yes, Judge. On behalf of the state, I believe we have 4 people that are present and ready to speak on behalf of the victim in this case.
Before you bring them up, I just want to make sure the first individual does not want to be filmed. Okay, so let me turn off that camera. And because she does not want to be filmed, we can bring her to the witness stand. Just let me turn off both of them real quick. Hold on 1 second. Just hold on. I want to make sure the courtroom camera is off. And doesn't look like it's going off. I'm going to have, oh, can you grab Tristan real quick? I just want to make sure she's not filmed if she doesn't want to be. Oh, you know what? I think we've got it off now. We just waited long enough. He's got it off now. Thank you. Okay, Attorney LaPrenzi, if you want to bring her over to the witness. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. So if you could sit in the chair and then speak into the microphone, that'd be wonderful. And then my court reporter can get it.
Ready?
Yep, ready. If you could just state your name, ma'am.
Brittany Dunson.
Okay.
Today I want to say all the things to Erica that I've been holding in since 2011. I want to tell her what a horrible person she is. I want to tell her that she will get no forgiveness or mercy from me. I want to tell her that I hope she's miserable every day as she rots in prison. There are a lot of things that I want to say to her, but instead, I'm not going to waste my breath. Instead, I'll use this time to honor Ashley, a kind, caring, beautiful person who was taken from this earth sooner than she deserved. Her main desire in life was to be a good person, a good friend, and most importantly, a good mom. And there are people here amongst myself that could tell you she was all of those things. I want to read a passage written by Ashley from what I assume was an assignment for school. In 2004, I was 17 years old and in 11th grade when I found out I was pregnant. On July 18th, 2005, I gave birth to my daughter, Grace. I was still in high school until December 2005, when I graduated earlier than expected due to an advancement in my studies. In January 2006, I started college at National Institute of Technology. I ended up withdrawing from the college to work and make a living for us. Grace made me grow up and think about my future and her future. In October of 2007, I joined the Army as a 92F petroleum specialist. I was discharged for medical reasons. I felt like everything was ruined since my dream to make our life better was shattered. I started working odd jobs to make a life for us. In 2011, I enrolled at Stark State College in the physical therapy program. I feel like this program will help me make a good life for both of us and help me pay for her college in the future. I currently work at Malone University as a janitor on third shift and go to college during the day and an evening class. I love spending time with my daughter and being able to attend her school activities. She is now 6 and looks up to me. She sees how I have worked hard and will continue to do so to make sure that she will have a good life.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm going to just have you hold on so I can turn off the camera because I know you don't want to be recorded, okay? Give me 1 second. Thank you for being here today. And it takes a minute to catch up. I know that was difficult. Okay, you can go ahead and take a seat. Thank you very much, Ms. Dunson. Attorney Loprenzi, who did you want to call next? And Cindy Cobb also does not want to be filmed or recorded. Got it. I've got the courtroom camera off. Thank you, Attorney Loprenzi. If you could just please state your full name for the record, ma'am.
Cynthia Cobb.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You knew from the beginning when you met Chad that he and Grace were a package deal as he had sole custody of Grace. But from your jealousy and wants, the path of destruction is cut both deep and wide and has left scars that will carry the rest of our days. You have ravaged multiple families, the Biggs family, the Cobb family, the Dunson family, the Tallman family, the Lyon and Stefanko families. Everyone that this touched is on the losing end, just some lost more than others. The devastation that came from your actions destroyed what once was family and friends, and foremost took away what should have been a normal, happy childhood from 5 children. Even your own mother once stated that you had a dark side. Now your reign of terror has come to an end. By your own words written in your blog, Erica, in 2008, I will have my revenge. As for Chad himself, vengeance will be mine. I will plot my revenge, and I will make it good. You plotted for 4 years against Ashley. You are manipulative, controlling, and calculating. You are the wolf in sheep's clothing. What kind of mother uses her own children as pawns? If there is justice, we pray the bars hold you for the rest of your lifetime, as we have seen what befalls those that cross your path. We won't have to be looking over our shoulders the rest of our lives waiting for your revenge. The present cannot change the past, but maybe the future can ease some of the pain and holes in lives and offer some closure for us all. You have no one to blame for this but yourself and your malice intentions. I do not find joy in today, just ongoing sorrow for the children involved and the grandchildren you refuse to let be in our lives. Thank you.
For your statement. And the camera's off, so you're free to go back to your seat. And does she want to be, okay, let me just turn back on the courtroom camera. And if you all could just make sure the microphone's on, please. Thank you. Oh, perfect.
Check. It's on.
Okay, if you could please state your complete name for the record, ma'am.
My name is Kimberly Ann Biggs,
Thank you. Go ahead.
and I was Ashley's mother. My daughter was the most caring and loving person that I have ever met. She had a smile that could light up any room she walked into. She cared for other people's needs before her own. She was the most selfless person, even as her mother. I'll never even deserve my own child. No parent should ever have to bury their child. And because of your evil doings, Erica, I had to do just that. I had to bury my baby. And her daughter will never have her mother for her wedding. No mother and daughter talks. Grace will never have her mother beside her when she has her first child. You took away every motherly thing Grace will need from her mother in her life. You made my granddaughter believe she wasn't loved by her mother, wasn't cared for by her mother, nor loved and they're not loved or cared for by her own grandmother. You may have convinced yourself that you will never be half the mother Ashley was. I'm sure everything you everything you told Grace about her mother has been lies, like you've told the police, you've told this court and that jury. She, just like myself and the rest of the court, deserves to finally hear the truth after all these years of pain and torture you put us through. You were selfless in being the brains in the planning of Chad being the muscle. With your psychology degree, I'm sure you thought you knew the way to fool everyone with your statements. But you are, in fact, the fool. My dear, well, I can only hope that karma will continue to take over from here. I wish for the things that you love the most to not be there when you need them the most, as I have had to live without the one person I love the most when I needed her the most. I hope there's always, I hope they're always out of your favorite things in commissary. I hope you try to call home, you land on everyone's voicemail. I hope when you try to write home that only pens you have no ink, and every pencil breaks with each new sentence. I hope those around you who finally got to see the real Erica for the second time will remove you from their life. And yet, that's still not good enough. I can only hope that you will end up with a life sentence with no chance of parole. This world will never be safe with you walking around here in it. You took everything from me the day you took my only child. And I can only pray that the courts will take everything away from you by giving you life without a chance of parole. I miss you, Ashley. I did this for you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Is there anything else? Okay. Attorney LaPrenzi, who do you have next? Okay, let me turn off the courtroom camera. It's my understanding that Grace does not want to be filmed or recorded or photographed. So let me make sure the courtroom camera goes off. Okay, it's good now. Good afternoon. Could you please state your full name?
Grace Selena Cobb.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
The impact that Erica Stefanko has caused for me and my family is outrageous. I have to grow up with no mother. I can't celebrate Mother's Day. I can't be with my mom on the holidays. I can't call my mom when I have something exciting to tell her. I can't relate to her when something happens. I can't relate to anything that has to do with having a mom because I don't have one here to relate to. Erica, you killed my mother, yet you have shown absolutely no remorse for your actions. Not once have you apologized to the ones you've impacted. Not once have you shed a tear for just feeling a slight bit bad for what you've done. What is disgusting is that you think you can get away with everything again and go home and see your family. See part of my family. My half-brother and sister have to now grow up with no mom by their side. Your children have to suffer because of your actions, but you have no remorse. We were all supposed to be a family. Sometimes couples break up, such as my parents did, but they go out and they find new love, which is perfectly fine. But never did I think I would have to go through the Disney experience of having an evil stepmom, but it turns out nothing is like the movies. You are untrustworthy, you're a liar, you're sickening. But worst of all, you're a killer. You had a plan and you followed through with it. You and Ashley were both supposed to be my mom. Now I have neither. When I was just a little girl, I had loved you. Through all the bruises, the lies, the jealousy, I still had love to give. I loved my mom, Ashley, but you did everything you could to make your plan follow through, and it worked. As you sit in prison, I hope you think about all the people you have hurt and all the remorse that you have yet to show. This world is safer with you being locked up. I can't forgive you for what you've done, and I have no reason to. You don't even ask for forgiveness. These are the consequences for your actions, Erica. And I hope you pray every single day to God for forgiveness because you won't find that out here.
Thank you very much, Grace. Does the state have any other
No
witnesses?
more
that would
witnesses,
like to
Judge,
call?
at this time.
I did want to note for the record that right before we were supposed to start, the court was in receipt of 3 letters from representatives, and I think I'm getting this correctly, of who it's from because they weren't signed, but representatives from the LGBTQ plus community. And I did take the time to read those and also let counsel know for both sides. And I did read each of those letters and do recognize that this crime has more victims, and there's different communities that have been greatly impacted by it. Do you have any other individuals that are going to speak today?
No other individuals, Judge.
Okay. Attorney Laybourne, anything on behalf of the defendant?
Judge,
Oh.
are you going to let me have my opportunity?
Oh, you can, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. No, I'm going to be brief, Judge. Obviously, the court is somewhat limited in its sentencing. We all know it's going to be a life sentence. It's only a matter of whether there's parole eligibility, and if so, what level. As I stand here today and I listen to this, and of course, it came out through the trial. I've been involved in this case since 2012. I've done many cases and many trials. I don't think I've ever come to court on a co-defendant case when the person who did not actually lay hands on the victim and kill them, did I ever come and ask the court to give them life without parole. This is the first time. I think it's necessary in this case because of who Erica Stefanko is and will be. We've heard the horrific death that Ashley went through, and we know who did that. It's Chad Cobb. No question about that. Nobody disagrees with that. The thing, though, is that if we look at Erica Stefanko, who does she pick in her lives? Who are the men she picks? She picked one fellow who's high school education, although he's a hard worker and had his own company. She did all the bills. She did all the mind work for it. He had an IEP in high school. She married, then ultimately, when he went away, before he was even sentenced, she found another young man who was a high school dropout, who had lots of suffering in his life. She took him in, got pregnant with his child, and now he has the burden for what she has done. She is a master manipulator. She has taken her education, and how ironic is it that the very school that Ashley was working at, cleaning the hallways, being a janitor, to raise money so that her daughter could eventually someday go to college, is the very school she got her master's degree from. There's some awful irony in that. She got mad at Chad, and she got mad at Ashley when they had an indiscretion and they had an affair while Chad was with her. She found out about it, and in 2008, I think Chad's mother mentioned the blog, Erica Stefanko's blog, in which she vowed revenge against Chad Cobb. In that same post, not only did she vow revenge against Chad Cobb, she vowed to kill Ashley Biggs. And here we sit, 16 years later. Chad Cobb's in prison for the rest of his life with no hope of parole, and Ashley Biggs is dead. She predicted. She has patience and persistence, and it paid off for her. And quite frankly, had Chad done some things differently when he attacked Ashley, we may not have caught Erica. We may not have caught Chad, but fortunately, he bungled it. And that's the only reason we ended up with her here today. It took a long time, and the state has been bashed by it throughout the trial. The detective, who was persistent and, by the way, was right all along, even though he was denigrated the entire trial for his efforts, he got it right. And for all those reasons, even in trial, she tried to manipulate us. She tried to manipulate the jury. She even went so far to try and compliment me during cross-examination, to make herself look better to the jury, to make herself look better to me. She tries everything she can. 24 people now in Summit County have all judged her and decided she is beyond a reasonable doubt guilty of aggravated murder. And we would ask that you do the only thing you can to her at this point, and that is give her no hope. Grace has no hope of ever seeing her mother. Give her no hope of ever seeing free air. And that's what we had asked, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney LaPrenzi. Attorney Laybourne?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just some housekeeping. My client has executed the violent offender registration form. She's aware of the requirements, and I know that the court's going to read that to her. Upon the advice of counsel, Ms. Stefanko is not going to make a statement here today. She does intend to appeal. We would ask that counsel be appointed, as she does not have the funds to retain someone for that appeal. We'd ask the court to consider the minimum mandatory sentence for the charge of aggravated murder. As the court knows, she's got family support here. They're here with her to this day. She's got a very limited record. And you know, quite frankly, Judge, in the state of parole in the state of Ohio, is that life is life. Whether she gets 25 to life or 30 to life, the odds of her making parole statistically are low. But the program remains in place. The parole board is there to make an assessment over a number of years to determine the appropriateness of someone being released. Here, as Erica sits, we have the unusual advantage of seeing how she has done since she has been incarcerated since 2019, and she's done very well. I'm not aware of any infractions or issues with Erica serving her time. So she's shown that she can make productive use of her time as an inmate, which, again, we don't always have that luxury when someone's not been in or hasn't done as long as she has done. So given all of that, Judge, we would ask the court to consider the mandatory minimum sentence for the charge of aggravated murder. Thank you.
And your client does not want to make a statement?
She does not, correct?
No one else on behalf of her is going to speak today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, at this time, we are going to take a brief 10-minute recess, and then we will come back and go on the record. Okay, we're going back on the record. State of Ohio versus Erica Stefanko. It is 2:04 PM. And neither party has anything further to say.
No, Judge, thank
No,
you.
Your Honor, not on behalf of the defense.
Okay. Mrs. Stefanko, you were convicted of count 1 and count 2, which were originally count 15 and count 17, aggravated murder and murder. The State of Ohio and attorneys Laybourne, Kelly, and Kranek have agreed for a merger of those counts for the purpose of sentencing. The state is moving forward on aggravated murder. The indictment reads that you purposely and with prior calculation and design caused the death of Ashley Biggs. The law requires me to listen to the statements of counsel, listen to relevant evidence, consider the sentencing factors, the seriousness factors, and the recidivism factors before the court. The court has analyzed those seriousness factors and the recidivism factors. The sentencing court pursuant to law in the Ohio Revised Code shall consider all of the following that apply regarding the offender, the offense, or the victim, and any other relevant factors as indicating that the offender's conduct is more serious than conduct normally constituting the offense. The physical or mental injury suffered by the victim of the offense due to the conduct of the offender was, I have to consider these, whether that was exacerbated because of the physical or mental condition of the age of the victim, whether the victim of the offense suffered serious physical, psychological, or economic harm as a result of the offense, whether the offender held a public office or position of trust in the community, whether the offender's occupation, elected office, or profession obliged the offender to prevent the offense, whether the offender's professional reputation or occupation, elected office, or profession was used to facilitate the offense. I have to consider the offender's relationship with the victim and whether that facilitated the offense, whether the offender committed the offense for hire, whether in committing the offense, the offender was motivated by prejudice. The sentencing court shall also consider all the following that apply regarding the offender, the offense, or the victim, and any other relevant factors as indicating that the offender's conduct is less serious than conduct normally constituting the offense. If the victim induced or facilitated the offense, whether in committing the offense, the offender acted under strong provocation, whether in committing the offense, the defendant did not cause or expect to cause physical harm to any person or property, the grounds are not enough to constitute a defense. The sentencing court also must consider all the following that apply regarding the offender and any other relevant factors as factors indicating that the offender is likely to commit future crimes. Whether at the time of committing the offense, the offender was under release from confinement, whether the offender previously was adjudicated a delinquent child, whether the offender has not been or had not been rehabilitated to a satisfactory degree after previously being adjudicated a delinquent child, whether the offender has demonstrated a pattern of drug or alcohol abuse related to the offense, and if the offender shows no genuine remorse for the offense. The sentencing court also shall consider all the following that apply regarding the offender and any other relevant factors as indicating that the offender is not likely to commit future crimes, whether prior to committing the offense, the offender had not been adjudicated a delinquent child, whether prior to committing the offense, the offender had not been convicted of or pled guilty to a criminal offense, whether prior to committing the offense, the offender had led a law-abiding life for a significant number of years, whether the offense was committed under circumstances not likely to reoccur, and again, whether the offender shows genuine remorse for the offense. With this, Mrs. Stefanko, based upon the facts and circumstances, consideration of the relevant sentencing factors, applying the minimum sanction I've determined will protect the public and punish you without imposing an unnecessary burden on state or local resources, analyzing all the factors I'm required to analyze, including the seriousness factors, the recidivism factors, and all other factors before the court, including the following: the testimony of all the witnesses, the testimony of your co-defendant, the testimony of the victim's daughter, and your sworn testimony. Also taking into account the fact that you took the life of a young working woman who was trying to support her only child, the fact you took the life of a young Army veteran who served our country and put others before herself. Taking into account that you lured this young Army veteran mother into a dark parking lot late at night while in a car with 4 young children. And this is the most egregious part. That included the victim's own daughter. Also taking into account the secondary trauma that you've caused for individuals in the community, for jurors, for court staff, and everyone else who's had to review the pictures, the testimony, and everything that happened that night. Could you please stand, Mrs. Stefanko? The court is sentencing you to a term of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Please maintain your decorum or you'll be taken out of the court. Understood? Thank you. Again, the court is sentencing you to a term of life in prison without the possibility of parole until after serving 30 full years of imprisonment. As part of your sentence, you must obey all laws, refrain from any offensive conduct, follow all the rules of the department. You are not allowed to use drugs and alcohol, and you may be tested for that. You must follow all the rules of the institution. You are legally entitled to jail time credit. This will be calculated and included in the final entry. I have analyzed your present and future ability to pay costs and fees. Considering the life sentence imposed, I will waive those costs and fees. I am not imposing a fine, and I believe the state has not requested any restitution. Correct, Attorney LaPrenzi?
That's correct.
Okay. I am now going to review your requirement to register as a violent offender. I have to read you this entire form. Erica Stefanko, you have been convicted of a qualifying violent offender offense as defined in Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.41. You are, because you are sentenced to a prison term, you must enroll in the county, in the database personally with the sheriff of the county in which you reside 10 days after your release from jail. If you are an out-of-state offender, you must enroll in the database personally with the sheriff of the county in which you reside or occupy a dwelling within 10 days of either 1, residing in or occupying a dwelling in Ohio for more than 3 consecutive days, or 2, residing in or occupying a dwelling in Ohio for an aggregate period in a calendar year of 14 or more days. You are required to provide the sheriff certain information, including your full name and any alias you use, your residence address, your social security number, any driver's license number or commercial driver's license number or state identification card number issued to you, information regarding the offense of which you were convicted or pleaded guilty, the name and address of any place where you are employed, the name and address of any school or institution of higher education you attend, the license plate number of each vehicle owned or operated by you or registered in your name, the vehicle identification number of each vehicle and a description of each vehicle, a description of any scars, tattoos, or other distinguishing marks on your person. You are required to provide the sheriff fingerprints and palm prints. The sheriff will also obtain a photograph of you at the time of enrollment. After the date of initial enrollment, you are required to re-enroll annually. You must update and/or amend any of the information described above that has changed and provide any additional information requested at the county sheriff's office within 10 days of the anniversary of the calendar date on which you initially enrolled. If you change your residence during the 10-year enrollment period, you shall provide written notice of that change to the sheriff with whom you most recently enrolled and to the sheriff in the county in which you intend to reside within 3 business days of the change of address. You are required to comply with all of the above described requirements for a period of 10 years unless your sentencing court determines otherwise. Your expected residence address would be Wayne County. We've included that address. Failure to enroll or to verify residence at the specified times will result in criminal prosecution. Do you acknowledge these above requirements have been explained to you? Yes. Okay. And do you understand that those requirements are in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Chapter Sections 2903.41 through 2903.44? Counsel, I believe that the defendant has already signed the form. At this time, Mrs. Stefanko, I'm going to review your appellate rights. Do you understand you have the right to appeal this matter within 30 days after the filing of the court's sentencing entry? Do you understand that if you're unable to pay for the cost of a transcript, the record, and all relevant documents required for the appeal, that they will be provided to you at no cost? Do you understand if you're unable to pay for an appeal, you are entitled to have a notice of appeal filed without the payment of a filing fee? Do you understand if you're unable to afford counsel for an appeal, counsel will be appointed for you without cost? Can you afford a lawyer, or do you want the court to appoint you one for the purpose of appeal? Okay, the court will handle that, and that attorney will be included in the judgment entry. Is there anything further from the state?
No, thank you, Judge.
And anything for the Attorney Laybourne, Killy, or Kranek?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, I would like to thank everyone, Detective Hitchings, the attorneys, and all of our deputies and our court staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
What's up?
We're gonna start working on these wires, because get one wire go all the way down to the floor.
Sure.
So I think
Say that again?
everyone's not bad. They've been when you moved it.
Yeah. Fucked it up pretty good.
Yeah, I wasn't here when they had to literally move everything from over there back to. So, or
Um. When we're done, don't let me put that in the truck until we know for sure. This one ours,
hey, where'd you grab that from?
right off of here.
See where it's going to?
Yeah, I went to this.
But I was in, yeah, it was in.
Um. The, I need to know how many of those little adapter cables we have. Cause I cannot leave less than 8 of them.
Talk about for the, coder.
Yeah. Stay.
Look, said 4, or get out time, though, so you can.
4 is our get out time?
Well, no, I thought we can get out by 4, but it's more like 5 o'clock. But that's the actual hard out for us.
We can do it.
And-
I'm feeling better than I was a half an hour ago, so
Okay.
life is good.
Great. All right, so DAs are.
Yep.
And that white, essential for.
After that, white power strip, this one here?
Yeah, it's getting harder. The yellow, I think the yellow one belongs to the court. Go ahead, let's go into the switch.
Yeah.
That belongs to the court. But the white and black one, I think are ours.
Is that our switch or yours, or theirs?
That's the court switch.
Okay,
The yellow cable and the yellow switch, or yellow cable and the switch belongs.
and you said the power strip is ours or theirs?
The white one is
Is theirs?
ours. That's the jumbo.
Let's trade places. Who owns this big honking black cord?
But the 3-headed,
Yeah.
yeah, that's ours.
Okay. All right. So the white one's ours. And the black one that was plugged into the other port, the black Ethernet,
Yeah, those are the cables I use for it.